You think that's funny?
Not really.
Then why are you smiling?
The classroom door slammed open just as Adrian Hale kicked a chair across the polished floor. It crashed into a desk, sending books tumbling. The students burst into laughter while Adrian leaned against the front table with a smug grin, twirling an expensive car key around his finger. "So," he said loudly, "which poor soul is replacing the last tutor? Think they'll last 10 minutes. Before anyone answered, a young woman stepped into the room carrying nothing more than a backpack, a stack of notebooks, and a calm expression. She paused, glanced at the overturned chair, then at Adrian. Without saying a word, she walked to the teacher's desk. Adrian smirked. "Hey, new girl. You're standing where my coffee belongs." A few students chuckled. She calmly placed her books down. "You must be Adrian Hale. And you must be desperate for a paycheck." The room erupted with laughter. Instead of responding, she picked up the chair Adrian had kicked over and set it upright. "My name is Lena Brooks," she said. "And from this moment on, I'm your private tutor." Adrian slowly clapped. "Oh, another hero. Do you know how many tutors my father has hired? I wasn't hired to count them." "Ouch." Someone at the back whistled. Adrian walked closer until only inches separated them. "Listen carefully. Everyone here knows something about me." Lena met his eyes. "What exactly am I supposed to know?" Nobody tells Adrian Hale what to do. He picked up the paper lesson plan from her desk, glanced at it for a second, then deliberately dipped it into his cup of iced coffee before dropping it back onto the table. Brown liquid spread across every page. The class exploded with laughter. "Oops," Adrian said with fake sympathy. "Looks like class is over." Lena stared at the ruined papers. For 3 long seconds, she didn't move. Then she reached for the unopened bottle of ice water sitting beside Adrian. He smiled confidently. "You getting thirsty?" She twisted the cap, and before anyone realized what was happening, she emptied the entire bottle over Adrian's designer jacket. Ice water dripped from his perfectly styled hair onto his $1,000 shoes. The laughter disappeared. Every student froze. One girl whispered, "She didn't." Another finished the sentence. "She actually did." Adrian blinked slowly. His jaw tightened. Water dripped from his chin. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Lena placed the empty bottle on the desk. "No." Her voice remained calm. "You made it the moment you mistook respect for weakness." Silence. Even the students who usually worshipped Adrian couldn't hide their shock. Lena picked up her bag. "Our lesson starts tomorrow at 4. Don't be late." She walked out of the classroom without looking back. Only after the door closed did the room explode into whispers. Adrian stood motionless. Then, unbelievably, he smiled. Not because he was amused. Because nobody had ever dared challenge him. "Interesting," he muttered. "Very interesting." That evening, Richard Hale stared at his son from behind the massive oak desk inside Hale Group headquarters. "You embarrassed yourself." Adrian shrugged. "I embarrassed myself?" She poured water on me. "And why?" "Because she's insane." Richard folded his hands. "Every tutor you've had resigned because you treated them like servants. They were boring. They were educators. They were weak." Richard sighed heavily. "You failed every exam this semester." "I'll survive." "No, Adrian." Richard slid a folder across the desk. "If you fail your final examinations, you lose access to your trust fund until you're 30. The smile disappeared from Adrian's face. "You can't be serious." "I already signed the legal papers." "You'd choose money over your own son?" Richard's expression hardened. "I'm trying to save you from becoming a man who thinks money solves everything." Adrian laughed bitterly. "That's rich coming from a billionaire." Richard ignored the comment. "Lena Brooks starts tomorrow. She won't last. We'll see." Across town, Lena unlocked the small apartment she shared with her grandmother. The smell of herbal tea filled the room. Her grandmother, Evelyn Brooks, looked up from the couch. "How was your first day?" Lena forced a smile. "I survived." "That bad?" "Worse." She laughed softly before sitting beside her. "I threw water on the son of one of the richest men in the country." Evelyn nearly dropped her teacup. "You what?" "He deserved it." "Oh, Lena. He thinks money gives him permission to humiliate people." Evelyn gently held her granddaughter's hand. "And what if he makes your life difficult?" Lena smiled sadly. "My life has never been easy." The smile faded when Evelyn suddenly pressed a hand against her chest. "Grandma, I'm all right." "No." Lena knelt beside her. "You've been saying that every day. It's just a little pain. It's getting worse." I'm managing. Lena looked toward the medicine bottle on the table. Only 2 pills remained. Her heart sank. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. Heart surgery. Soon. Or the condition would become life-threatening. She quietly looked away so Evelyn wouldn't see the tears forming. I'll find a way, she whispered. I always do. The next afternoon, Adrian arrived 30 minutes late to the private study room. He kicked the door open. You still here? Lena didn't even look up from her notebook. You're late. I wanted to see if you'd leave. You lost. He dropped into a chair and placed both feet on the table. So teach me something. Take your feet down. No. Then today's lesson is over. She closed the textbook. Adrian frowned. That's it. You refuse to cooperate. So actions have consequences. He laughed. My father pays you. He pays me to educate you. She stood and packed her bag. I don't teach people who refuse to respect the classroom. She headed for the door. Wait. She stopped but didn't turn around. What? Adrian lowered his feet. There. She faced him again. Good. She reopened the textbook. For the next hour, every answer Adrian gave was deliberately wrong. What is 12 times 8? Lena asked. 20. No. 30. No. 1 million. Several seconds passed. Lena slowly closed the book. You know the answer. Do I? You answered advanced economics correctly in your entrance exam. His smile faded for a split second. You check my records? I check facts. So you're pretending to be incompetent. He leaned back. Maybe I am incompetent. No. She stepped closer. I think you're afraid. His eyes narrowed. I don't get afraid. I think you're terrified of trying. Because if you actually fail, you won't have excuses anymore. The room fell silent. For the first time, she had struck somewhere deeper than his ego. Adrian stood abruptly. You don't know anything about me. Then prove me wrong. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Lena exhaled slowly. She had expected anger. She hadn't expected the pain she saw in his eyes. Outside, Adrian climbed into his sports car, but didn't start the engine. Her words kept replaying in his head. You're terrified of trying. No, he muttered to himself. You don't know me. But for the first time in years, someone had looked past the billionaire's son and seen the frightened young man hiding underneath. If you're enjoying this emotional story so far, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Storyverse TV's One so you never miss our next unforgettable story. Adrian gripped the steering wheel tighter, unaware that across the street, a man inside a black sedan lowered a camera after photographing both him and Lena through the study room window. He picked up his phone. They've started getting close, he said quietly. The voice on the other end replied with chilling calm. Good. Should I continue watching them? A brief silence followed. Then came the order that would change both their lives forever. Don't let Lena Brooks discover what happened 15 years ago. Adrian barely slept that night. The stranger's words echoed somewhere he couldn't explain, while Lena's challenge refused to leave his mind. You're terrified of trying. He hated that she was right. The next afternoon, he arrived at the study room 5 minutes early. Lena looked up from arranging her notes and raised an eyebrow. I must be in the wrong room. Adrian folded his arms. Don't get used to it. I wasn't planning to. He sat down without another word. Lena slid a practice exam toward him. Today's goal is simple. I'm listening. You answer every question honestly. And if I don't know the answer, then you admit you don't know it. Adrian scoffed. That's your big teaching method? No. She smiled slightly. My teaching method is making people stop lying to themselves. He rolled his eyes. You really enjoy annoying me. I enjoy seeing potential wasted even less. For the first 20 minutes, neither of them spoke much. Then something unusual happened. Adrian solved a difficult economics problem in less than a minute. Lena stared at the paper. You've been pretending. I told you I wasn't stupid. So why fail every test? He stared out the window. Because passing changes nothing. What do you mean? My father doesn't care if I score 50 or 100. His voice became quieter. He'll still find something wrong. Lena remained silent. My first debate competition. Adrian continued. I came second in the country. That's impressive. He asked why I wasn't first. He laughed bitterly. When I won a regional swimming championship. What did he say? National champions matter. Regional winners don't. Lena's expression softened. So one day, I stopped trying. Silence settled between them. Finally, Lena spoke. You know what's sad? What? You've spent years trying to disappoint your father. He frowned. And the only person you've actually punished is yourself. Adrian looked down at the paper. For the first time in years, he finished every question correctly. Days slowly turned into weeks. The insults disappeared. The arguments became debates. The debates became conversations. One afternoon, Adrian arrived carrying 2 cups of coffee. He awkwardly placed one beside Lena. I wasn't sure what you drink. She looked surprised. You remembered I like coffee? You always look half asleep. She laughed. I work 2 jobs. I know. She looked up sharply. You followed me? No. I happened to drive past the cafe. I swear. She took a cautious sip. You didn't poison it? He smirked. Not today. She couldn't stop herself from smiling. There you are. What? The first genuine smile you've had since we met. Lena quickly looked away. Focus on your textbook. See? What? You smile, then hide. And you talk too much. He laughed. You finally admitted I can laugh. I admitted nothing. Later that evening, Adrian left the university earlier than usual. Instead of driving home, he parked across from the small neighborhood cafe where Lena worked. Through the window, he watched her serve customers for hours without sitting down once. An elderly customer accidentally dropped a tray. Food scattered everywhere. Before anyone reacted, Lena knelt beside him. It's all right. I'm so sorry, the old man said nervously. You don't need to apologize. She smiled warmly. I'll clean it. No, miss. I insist. Adrian watched as she paid for the man's meal from her own tip money. His smile disappeared. Why would she do that? When her shift finally ended after midnight, Lena walked to a nearby pharmacy. She counted the cash in her purse 3 times before buying medication. Not for herself. For her grandmother. The pharmacist quietly said, she'll need surgery soon. I know. You can't keep delaying. I'm trying. Adrian couldn't hear the rest. But he didn't need to. Everything suddenly made sense. She wasn't working because she wanted extra money. She was surviving. The following morning, Richard Hale called Adrian into his office. You've improved. Adrian shrugged. So don't disappoint me. There it is. Richard frowned. What? I score better, and somehow you've already found another reason to criticize me. Richard stood. You misunderstand. No. Adrian's voice hardened. I understand perfectly. Richard sighed. That tutor is changing you. Maybe. Richard walked to the window overlooking the city. Be careful. Of what? People often hide behind kindness. Adrian narrowed his eyes. You don't even know her. I know enough. Richard's tone became colder. The Brooks family has a history. Adrian frowned. What history? Richard turned around almost too quickly. Nothing important. The conversation ended there. But for the first time, Adrian noticed something unusual. His father looked nervous. That weekend, Lena returned home carrying groceries. She found her grandmother staring at an old wooden chest. I thought we agreed never to open this. Evelyn gently brushed dust from the lid. I know. Then why now? Because you've become involved with the Hale family. Lena froze. What did you say? Evelyn slowly opened the chest. Inside were faded photographs. Old newspaper clippings. Letters tied together with blue ribbon. Lena picked up one photograph. Her breathing stopped. Standing beside a much younger Richard Hale was her father. Both men were smiling. Business partners. What is this? Evelyn closed her eyes. The beginning of everything. You knew? For years. Why didn't you tell me? Because your father begged me not to. Lena's voice trembled. My father worked with Richard Hale? Yes. Then why is Dad in prison? Evelyn looked away. Because the truth is more dangerous than you imagine. Before she could continue, a loud knock echoed through the apartment. 3 hard knocks. Then silence. Lena opened the door. No one was there. Only a small black envelope lying on the floor. She picked it up. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Lena leaving the university with Adrian 2 days earlier. Written across the back in red ink were 6 chilling words. Stop digging, or lose everything you love. Lena's hands began shaking. Grandma. Before Evelyn could answer, the apartment lights suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the room. A crashing sound came from the bedroom. Someone was inside. Lena grabbed the nearest lamp. Stay behind me. A shadow sprinted down the hallway. Stop. She chased after the intruder. The apartment door slammed shut. By the time she reached the hallway, the stranger had disappeared. Neighbors opened their doors. What happened? Call the police, someone shouted. Lena rushed back inside. Drawers had been pulled open. Papers covered the floor. Jewelry. Still there. Cash. Untouched. The television. Still mounted. Only one thing was missing. The old wooden chest. Evelyn slowly sat down, tears filling her eyes. They took it. Lena clenched her fists. They knew exactly what they were looking for. The next morning, Lena arrived at the university exhausted. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. Adrian immediately noticed. You didn't sleep. I'm fine. You're lying. I said I'm fine. You've never snapped at me before. She remained silent. Adrian gently lowered his voice. Lena. She looked away. My apartment was broken into. His expression changed instantly. What? They stole something important. Did they hurt you? No. Did you call the police? Yes. Were there fingerprints? They wore gloves. Adrian's jaw tightened. Whoever did this wasn't looking for money. No. They were looking for answers. Before Adrian could respond, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Stay away from Lena Brooks, unless you're ready to bury the truth with her. His heartbeat quickened. He looked around the campus courtyard. Hundreds of students walked past. Someone among them was watching. Someone who knew far more than either of them realized. And somewhere across the street, behind the tinted windows of another black sedan, a familiar voice spoke into a phone. They found the photograph. A slow, satisfied reply came from the other end. Then it's time for the next phase. The call ended. Neither Adrian nor Lena had any idea that the trap surrounding them had already begun to close. To be continued. Lena couldn't focus on the lesson. The anonymous message. The stolen chest. The photograph of her father standing beside Richard Hale. Every answer she wrote blurred before her eyes. Adrian quietly closed the textbook. We're not studying today. She looked up. I have exams. And you're carrying the weight of the world. This isn't your problem. He leaned forward. Then let me choose whether it becomes my problem. For a long moment, Lena simply stared at him. Finally, she reached into her backpack and handed him the old photograph she had taken with her before the chest was stolen. Adrian's face paled. My father. You recognize it? Yes. He swallowed hard. This was taken before I was born. You knew my father? I didn't even know they worked together. Lena's voice trembled. Someone broke into my apartment just to steal the evidence. Adrian looked at the photograph again. My father lied to me. Before either of them could say another word, Richard Hale's assistant appeared at the classroom door. Mr. Hale wants to see you immediately. Adrian stood. I'll be back. Richard was waiting inside his office with his hands clasped behind his back. You've become very close to Miss Brooks. Adrian remained calm. She's my tutor. That's all. What are you trying to say? Richard turned slowly. End it. No. Richard's eyes narrowed. That wasn't a request. You've never even given her a chance. Richard slammed a file onto the desk. Do you know who her father is? I know you work together. Silence. Richard's expression froze for a fraction of a second. So you've seen the photograph. You lied. Richard laughed coldly. You know nothing. Then tell me. There is nothing to tell. Adrian took a step forward. If you're innocent, why are you afraid? Richard's face hardened. I'm afraid that my son is becoming a fool. He pressed a button on his desk. 2 security guards entered. Escort Mr. Hale out. Adrian looked at his father in disbelief. You'd throw me out? I'd protect this family from anyone. As the guards approached, Adrian spoke quietly. Maybe this family needs protecting from you. He walked out before they could touch him. That evening, Lena finally gathered the courage to visit Greystone Correctional Center. Her father, Daniel Brooks, entered the visitor's room in prison clothes. His hair had turned gray. His eyes filled with tears the moment he saw her. My little girl. Lena pressed a trembling hand against the glass. You should have told me. I wanted you to have a normal life. My whole life has been built on lies. Daniel lowered his head. Richard Hale and I built a financial company together. We trusted each other like brothers. What happened? He created fake investment accounts. Lena's heart pounded. When everything collapsed, he begged me to take the blame. You said yes. He promised your mother and you would never struggle. Daniel's voice cracked. He swore he'd take care of you. But he abandoned us. Daniel closed his eyes. I believed my best friend. Tears rolled down Lena's cheeks. You lost 15 years because of him. I'd lose them again. He smiled sadly. If it meant keeping you safe. Lena covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. Daniel leaned closer. Listen carefully. She nodded. I never destroyed the original evidence. What? I hid copies in storage locker 218 at Riverside Station. Why didn't you tell the police? Because I knew Richard had people everywhere. He looked directly into her eyes. Now it's your time. An hour later, Lena stood inside the dusty storage facility. Her hands shook as she unlocked locker 218. Inside sat a weathered metal box. She opened it. Financial records. Signed contracts. Audio recordings. Bank transfers. Everything. Every piece of evidence proving Daniel Brooks had been framed. Footsteps echoed behind her. She spun around. Adrian stood there. I wasn't following you. She sighed in relief. I figured. He looked inside the box. Oh my God. My father was innocent. Adrian slowly picked up one document. Then another. Finally, he found his father's signature. His hands began shaking. It's real. I wish it wasn't. For several seconds neither of them spoke. Finally Adrian whispered, I'm so sorry. Lena looked at him. You didn't do this. No. He lowered his head. But I defended the man who did. The following morning, Richard Hale announced a nationally televised charity gala celebrating the Hale Foundation's newest education initiative. Politicians, business leaders, journalists, television cameras. Everyone important would be there. Adrian looked at Lena. This is our chance. She hesitated. If we fail, we lose everything. And if we succeed, I lose my father. Silence. Lena gently reached for his hand. I'm not asking you to stop loving him. Adrian looked at her with tears in his eyes. I'm choosing to stop protecting his lies. That evening, the ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and applause. Richard stood proudly on stage. We believe integrity is the foundation of every great society. Lena almost laughed. The irony was unbearable. Richard continued speaking. Our family has always valued honesty. Suddenly, every screen inside the ballroom flickered. The audience looked around. Richard frowned. What is happening? His presentation disappeared. Instead, old financial records appeared. Gasps filled the room. Then an audio recording echoed through the ballroom. Richard's unmistakable voice spoke. Daniel, take the blame. No one will ever know the truth. I'll make sure your family is cared for. Silence. Absolute silence. Richard's face turned white. No. The recording continued. If this scandal reaches me, everything I've built will collapse. Journalists leaped from their seats. Cameras swung toward Richard. Questions erupted from every direction. Mr. Hale, is that your voice? Did you frame your business partner? Did you cover up financial crimes? Richard pointed at Adrian. You did this. Adrian stepped onto the stage. No. He looked directly into the cameras. You did. Police officers entered through the ballroom doors. One detective unfolded an arrest warrant. Richard Hale. He paused. You are under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and perverting the course of justice. Richard stared at his son. You've destroyed this family. Adrian's eyes filled with tears. No. You destroyed it years ago. The officers placed Richard in handcuffs. Flashbulbs exploded across the ballroom. The billionaire empire that had taken decades to build collapsed in a matter of minutes. 6 months later, autumn leaves drifted across the pathways of Westbridge International University. Students hurried between lectures. Life had moved on. Lena carried a folder of postgraduate applications beneath her arm. Ahead of her, someone stepped out of the campus library. Adrian. Gone were the designer suits. Gone were the bodyguards. He now wore simple clothes and carried a stack of textbooks. He smiled awkwardly. I heard you're applying for graduate school. I am. I heard you got a scholarship. I did. You earned it. She smiled. So did you. He chuckled. I finally passed every exam. I never doubted you. A comfortable silence settled between them. Finally Adrian spoke. I spent years believing money made people powerful. And now, I think character does. Lena nodded. That's a lesson worth keeping. He took a deep breath. I don't expect forgiveness. She looked into his eyes. I forgave you a long time ago. His eyes widened. But forgiveness doesn't erase the past. No. It simply allows us to walk into the future without carrying its chains. A gentle breeze passed between them. Adrian smiled through tears. You changed my life. Lena returned the smile. You changed your own life. She turned and began walking toward the university gates. After a few steps, Adrian called after her. Lena. She looked back. Thank you for throwing that bottle of water. She laughed for the first time in months. I'd probably do it again. So would I, if I were you. They shared one final smile. Then she continued walking. Neither of them knew what the future held, but both finally understood that the truth, no matter how painful, was always worth fighting for. And sometimes, the people who enter your life as your greatest challenge leave behind your greatest lesson. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments. Do you think Lena and Adrian deserved a second chance together, or was walking away the right decision? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Storyverse TV's One, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories filled with unforgettable twists. Until next time, remember, integrity is worth more than any fortune.